Alright, what's going on, guys? I'm back here, as you can see by if you clicked on the video by the title and what's on your screen right now. I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm gonna do some videos on like not the basics of tennis, but like serves, volleys, good ground strokes, whatever. Reason I'm doing this, one, obviously because I like tennis, two, because I know one subscriber asking for it doesn't mean everybody wants to see it, but I want to get it because one, shout out to Laiku, one of my Xbox buddies, just asked me to do a video, and I thought after this you'll see this videos about how to get your first serve in and how to place it and whatnot and what to do with it and a little bit of stats about the average first serve. But the reason I kind of want to do these videos is even if one person I don't, you guys know I don't care for viewers that much, even if I only get 30 views on this, over the next year, whatever. If one person, like picks up a racket and actually tries to play the sport and, puts, a couple outings into it and actually tries, or if somebody who kind of plays, kind of doesn't know whether they want to do it or not, continues to play it and kind of learns from this and wants to become better. I wish somebody did that to me, or I kind of knew about tennis earlier. I played soccer all through my high school career, and I would have switched them in a heartbeat. I started playing tennis in like November of 2012, so about 20 months, just under 2 years. And I just because my buddies, a lot of my good friends played on the tennis team that I kind of like reunited with in like 12th grade. I kind of knew them in like ninth and 10th grade, and then we didn't have a lot of classes together 11th grade. Then we became real good friends at the beginning of my senior year. But anyways, as I go on another side note, they just told me to try out for the team. I had been playing for like 3 months at that point. I didn't know anything about it, obviously, except like the basic rules, like you got to serve cross court and the lines are in, and But I just played like I don't want to say that word. I guess I could say it, a bitch. I was that guy who just sliced everything back and kept it in play. And I swear I played what nine matches my senior, or no, 11 matches if you include like the SWC tournament, like the end of the year tournament. I went 9-2, and I promise you, I bet at least 9 of my 11 opponents were probably at least like skill wise and have played more tennis than me, were better than me. But there's tons of aspects, which I'll get to in a sec, of tennis that just make it such an interesting sport for me and such a one that I think a lot more people should try. But there's like more than there's. I would say there's four main aspects to tennis, other than the normal one, which a lot of people look at, which is skill, which is a big one. I would say if I had to break it down to the four aspects, they'd be the mental part of tennis, the strategy part of tennis, which you might say go together. I'll show you why I kind of break them up. The skill part and the athleticism. I would say tennis is about 35-40% skill. You have to have played quite a bit, and you have to have good ground strokes and know how to keep the ball in play. I would say about 25% strategy. Let's say I said it was 35% skill, so 25% strategy, that adds up to 60. And then I would say it's about a 20-20 split between mental and athleticism. A lot of people don't think you need to be too athletic to play tennis, but an average tennis player throughout an average match runs about 2.5, 3 miles. Obviously, depending on your opponent, some opponents make you run more than others, but that's more than a lot of sports. And the thing people don't consider when they hear that number of like 2.5 miles is tennis is a lot of like directional changing. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of your legs too. Where in like sports like soccer or football, most of the time you're running they run at very high speeds. Don't get me wrong, and they're definitely athletes in their own right. But it's usually continuous running, especially soccer or other sports like hockey. There's not too much directional changing. In tennis, every shot you got to hit a shot and you got to get back to the center court, and you got to be ready to break right or left depending on where your opponent feeds the ball. Or again, if you're running right because you think he's going to go cross court with a shot and he plays it back to your left shoulder on your backside, you got to stop quickly and you got to get back. So that takes a ton out of your legs to be running, not full on sprint, but whatever, running about 10 miles an hour to your right, and then be able to put the brakes on and go to the left. After an hour and a half, 2 hours of tennis, a lot of people's legs just are gone, as they should be, because it's like I said, it takes a lot of energy. So that's where I would say the athleticism is pretty important. Um, I would say the reason I like the sport so much is because it includes so many aspects, such as, like I said, the mental part, where I get or sorry, let me go to strategy first. I get their strategy in most sports, but usually it's handled by another person. Usually, like the coach of the team handles for the most part strategy. He calls the plays, whatever. If you're playing football, or soccer, really anything. You usually have a head coach. Tennis is one of those rare sports where you don't you don't have anybody to talk to when you're in a one-on-one match. So, I mean, except when you play high school. In high school, I think every other game, you get you can talk to your coach and he can help you out. But when you're not in that, like in the tennis leagues I play in, it's one-on-one. You have to adjust to how your opponent's playing. You have to strategize by yourself. You have to you have to kind of be mentally strong yourself in the sense that there's no other sport where you make as many errors as you do in tennis. Even the pros. I don't know if any of you guys watch tennis. Hopefully you do. Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic. In a good match, those guys make 35 to 40 unforced errors. Well, maybe not a good match. I would say in like an average match, a good match, they might only make 20 to 25. But there's no other sport that I can think of where you make 25 errors and you have to dig yourself out of that hole. All right, so yeah, I pretty much just combined this last part of strategy and mental kind of together there, and the other part that I didn't mention, or I mentioned before, skill about 35%. You obviously need that in your tennis game. You need to have good ground strokes, and just have been playing for a while and have the necessary skill to hit a good tennis shot. So we'll go on to the next part here with the serves. I'll give a little brief intro here, and that's it. So yeah, the serves you'll see here, I'm serving at about like 85%. These serves are coming at about 80 miles an hour probably. My normal first serves, I've clocked out on like a gun at 98. I haven't been able to get a serve in over 100. I've hit some over 100, but not in. But my usual in-game tennis serve, first serve is about 85, 90 miles an hour from on an okay day. To give you some perspective on that, the pros, an average pro serves about 125, a good pro. The average pro maybe about 120 on their first serve. So that's all I wanted to clarify beforehand. I'll talk over these clips here in a sec, so enjoy. Okay, so all serving down the tee means just the tee is like where the two service boxes intersect right in the middle of the court. So it just means serving right down the middle of the court line, as you'll see here. All I want to point out for these guys is that notice my left foot, the foot closest to the service line, is almost parallel to the line. It's pointing. If you took my foot and like drew a line straight to the other, there's a court to the right of me. Real quick, let me intersect. This is just a coach or a drill my coach taught me in high school. You serve one serve down the tee. You serve three in a row: one down the tee, one wide, then one down the tee. It's so you don't always have the same repetition because it can become kind of. It's not what it's going to be in a tennis match. You're gonna have to switch it up. You're gonna have to hit different shots. So you're supposed to hit one down the tee and see if you can do it in a row. You don't have to serve 100%. These are only about 80%, like I said. But you try and get all of them in as I do here. But anyways, back to that thing. Notice how my foot when I'm trying to serve down the tee in deuce court, it's wide. It's like I said, there's another court next to me. It's like pointing to the center of that court almost. It's real wide. You'll see when I do serves out wide, where I'm trying to serve cross court, like to the left line on your screen right now, my foot will almost be pointing straight at the center of the net, a little bit to the right of it. But my point is, it's a lot more perpendicular to that line. So that's all I wanted you guys to notice. Really, from this part, I have a couple slow motions later that you'll see where I'll point out like how to bend the knees. I mean, you guys can try and pick it up now. Like first, look at my knees. I don't jump. The pros jump about a foot and a half, maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet. I only get about 6 inches, just because jumping is something I've just started to add that to my serve. It's something that gives you a better angle. Obviously, if you hit the ball at a higher point of contact, so you have more room of air to work with. As I'll say, as you'll see later in the video, I have a fact about that. So I don't jump too much, but just that little 6 inches that I jump gives me a little bit of an extra angle. It makes it a little easier to hit that serve in. So you'll see I kind of bend my knees. I rock my body back to get all that momentum kind of going forward in order so I can kind of jump. I guess we'll point out here, we'll watch my left arm, I guess, my non-racket hand. Watch how I'm guiding the ball the entire time. I'm looking at it the entire time through my backstroke. Then when I start to come forward, my right hand takes over and I can drop that hand. But that just helps you. You're supposed to do it with overheads too, like when you're at the net and you have a ball overhead, just like when you're serving. It helps you zone in on that ball, and it's one of the things that kind of keeps your balance and you focused on that ball for your other hand to come down and hit it. So here we switch the serves out wide. Now, like I said, notice my left foot, my front foot. You'll see it's hard to see. Like I said, I was hoping it was a little more clear, but you can see it's definitely pointed towards the center a lot more. And you'll see where these serves are going. What I'm trying to get at is that the foot direction dictates almost everything. I mean, sometimes you won't be able to hit the exact spot you want to serve in. I don't want to get ahead of myself either. If you're just learning to serve, placing your serves is a very difficult thing. Don't worry about it as for right now. Just worry about getting it in and getting your speed right and getting a serve with decent pace. But see how my foot is a lot more inward. You can see all these serves are going out wide. So If you want to serve wide, or depending on which direction you want to serve in, the front foot dictates about 70% of it. I mean, sure, you can change a little bit with your racket, but generally where your front foot is leading is where you're going to follow through to. Kind of see how I'm leaning left on all these. I didn't get to point out the other ones, but in the other ones, when I was serving down the tee, I would go like straight towards the center of the court, straight towards the tee. But you'll see in most of these, where my left foot, I'm trying to serve out wide, I kind of fall left, my momentum right there. Because I'm leaning the ball that way, I'm guiding it that way, I'm using all the force I can get to get as much pace on the ball. See if I can do it. Yeah, see how my feet kind of cross, my right over my left. I'm leaning hard left to get that serve out wide to make sure it's going in that direction. So I pointed out for the most part almost everything I can kind of point out at this point. Once we get to slow-mo here in about 60 seconds, there's a couple more clips just of me serving out wide. As you can see, these are all going towards, this will be, if they're returning, it'll be to their forehand side. Like I said, I generally don't serve out wide on the deuce side because that's usually their forehand, and 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 players have a better forehand than they do backhand. So if I can aim to the backhand, I usually will, because it's usually a weaker return. They might lob it and give me a chance to come to the net and put the point away. So again, I'm just going to let this run here. As I mentioned, just notice the knees. I get a little bit of back. I don't get as much jump as the pros, but if you want to try and get a little jump, I'm leaning back hard at first, you see, and I'm using all that energy to kind of get up and meet the ball as high as I could possibly reach. I'm meeting the ball. I'm 5'11", 5 feet 11 inches, and I meet the ball at about 8 feet. So basically, my arm extension gives me about 1.5 feet, and then my 6-inch jump gives me about the other 6 inches. So just notice that. We'll get to the arm extension, my racket hand, how it's like fully extended here in the slow motion. This is the last clip here, and then we'll get into that, and I'll kind of break it down. So when we get to that, look for my right arm extension, how it's never completely straight and fully extended until right when I meet the ball. It's bent the whole way, as you'll see here. This is at 1/10 speed. It's bent the whole way, and then right when I meet the ball, I release my hand. It's bent the whole way so I can get all the momentum close to my body and build up as much power as I can. And then right when I meet the ball, fully extended. So look at my left hand, it's guiding the ball the whole time. Getting power in my legs right now, ready to jump. There goes a small jump, and then it's bent 90 degrees right now. And right when I meet the ball, if you have to pause it, you can. But you can see it's 180 degrees, fully extended. So I'll have one more slow motion at a closer view. It'll be at this angle. I'll have one more slow motion that you'll see here in a sec. That's closer, and you can maybe get a better look at everything. And again, I really apologize. I know this is all moving really fast. Pause it if you have to, or watch it over if you have to. But I only served about 15, 20 minutes before my buddy got there and we played a set. So this is all I could get recorded and all the footage I could have. So as you can see, this is just a closer view of everything I pointed out. Notice how every time after I serve and land, I'm coming about 3-4 feet above the baseline because I'm leaning forward. I'm using every bit of momentum and power momentum to get as much power as I can on that serve. I think all these serves went in except for like the third one, which I think we just hit, or maybe it was this one. So all these serves were good. So you can tell by the way they look, generally when they leave the racket. But again, I'm just leaning back, getting all my momentum, and then firing forward and leaning forward as well. And when you have forward momentum like that, you can step right into a serve and volley. And you can keep that momentum forward to, go to the net and try and put away the point if your opponent gets a soft return. So again, here we go. Watch the legs. I could obviously jump higher than 6 inches, but I'm not using all my momentum. I'm jumping at a amount that I'm comfortable with, that I can still, get an advantage, but my racket swing's still accurate. If you jump higher, the higher you jump, the harder it is to, you have to meet the ball at the perfect point where your body's going upward and your hand is going upward, but the ball's coming downward. It takes a lot of skill and timing to hit it perfectly. So again, hopefully you noticed all the slow motion things there, like the arm extended, and you can pause it and watch it again. Hopefully my talking over it wasn't too big of a distraction, but that was a slow motion first serve there. So again, here's that fact about jumping an extra 6 inches. Just read that, pause it if you have to. Okay, and here I'm showing you about what it's like, what it improves. So you can see there's only about 2 feet between the net and the line there, and if you hit that, it improved about 5 feet. And then here's just showing it's just showing how much lower it is in the middle of the net, and why cross-court shots are really good, and why cross-court serves down the tee, not cross-court, serves straight down the tee are very good, because the net is actually about 6 inches shorter in the middle. No matter how tight it is, even the pros' net's about 4 or 5 inches shorter in the middle, so it's beneficial to hit across into the middle of the net. So that's it, guys. Don't know the next topic yet, but be sure to watch it, and it'll probably be out in a week. Maybe I'll do volleys or something like that. Thanks.